I want to have more kids.
You do?
Yeah.
More kids. That sounds like many.
I mean, you know how whatever my body could take, and I feel like I can take.
Cardi B's fourth child was never just a cute addition to her life. It was a point of pressure. Additionally, insiders claim that the trap was set well in advance of any pregnancy or baby announcement. In 2025, while she was expecting her first son with NFL player Stefon, rumors began to circulate that he was giving his time, attention, and possibly his future to multiple households, and that she was taking on a role she had previously ridiculed, that of the well-known partner who isn't really the top priority. Diggs had already announced that he was expecting a boy, walked the red carpet in Boston and Houston as a new Patriots receiver, and demonstrated to the world that he could turn a family storyline into a brand moment by the time she announced the pregnancy on CBS Mornings in mid-December 2025 and called him "my boyfriend" on air. We can observe how this pregnancy served as leverage for him while being presented as a source of empowerment for her.
Need to be a mother.
It means everything. It's like a feeling that it's undescribable. It's like love, joy. It's
means
everything. Yeah.
Welcome, Cardi. We are aware that this timeline is clear. Diggs revealed to reporters on a red carpet in early May 2025 that he and Cardi were expecting a son. Diggs expressed his excitement about having a youngster he could push, train, and raise in his own image. A few weeks later, on May 12th, they made their courtside debut at Madison Square Garden during a Boston Celtics versus New York Knicks playoff game. She was seen leaning in and squeezing his face on video, officially turning months of internet rumors into a hard launch. He signed a 3-year, $69 million contract with the New England Patriots that same spring, suddenly transforming him from a standout receiver to the financial cornerstone of a new era in Foxborough. We begin to understand why this infant became the focal point of a much larger power struggle when we compare it to her continuing custody negotiations, her halted divorce from Offset, and her still unreleased album, Am I the Drama? However, the courtside smiles did not bring the true red flag. In July 2025, it appeared, or rather vanished, from her Instagram grid. Fans discovered over the 4th of July weekend that Diggs had completely disappeared from her page, just 1 month after they made their Instagram debut with love pictures and a fairy story about Paris Fashion Week. She confirmed that they were still in the same rooms, still filming together, and still marketing the image by reposting a clip from his new YouTube vlog, Mental Reset, in which the two of them were sweating through a couples workout somewhere in Europe. According to a source who spoke with TMZ, the wipe did not signify the end of their relationship, and they had not formally split up. It appeared to many spectators as a lover's spat. It appeared to viewers of the patterns as something more somber, a cautionary tale about who was in charge of the story, because it rarely indicates romance when a woman removes a partner during the height of public attention and then immediately brings him back through a professionally filmed exercise video. It conveys a strategy. By July 8th, the Mental Reset video had served its purpose, going viral on social media and reminding everyone that this was still a brand new power couple, rather than a failed romance. Fan tales of Cardi's extravagant June 24th castle stay in France were appearing at the same time. Cardi recorded herself giggling about crocodiles in the moat, strolling through stone corridors, and assuring viewers that Diggs was so wealthy that he had her living like royalty. The timing is difficult to overlook. She removed him from her feed, then inserted him through a clip he controlled, within weeks of that show of wealth and devotion. We are witnessing her emotional instability being incorporated into the content pipeline, while money, image, and access are all being used as soft pressure.
Sources with direct knowledge close to the couple tell TMZ that the split has nothing to do with the
The financial and legal stakes behind it were only becoming more intense. Diggs became one of the most important components of the team's rebuilding in March 2025 when he signed a contract with the Patriots that guaranteed tens of millions of dollars, elevating him above the majority of the men who had previously attempted to openly court her. Her second divorce from Offset, which she had filed for in July 2024, was still pending, and their December 2024 exodus revealed how chaotic the talks had been. Offset turned their private legal battle into a negotiating chip he was willing to use in front of millions of followers when he publicly stated during that blow-up that he would not sign the paperwork until she agreed to split custody of their 3 young children. Offset maintained the line on custody and legal freedom, while Diggs made use of castles, courtside seats, and NFL visibility. One woman is stuck between 2 men with very different levers.
All I'm saying is, if I felt like my girl was cheating, I'm going to get it off of these 2. If I felt like my girl was cheating and she said these things to dispel my thought, it would not be dispelled.
No.
Of course. Diggs' Circle insiders reportedly asserted that Cardi was taping interviews about how strong she felt while carrying a child while she was still pregnant. He was already discussing growing his family in secret with another woman. Once more, his team has not officially verified those allegations, and no second pregnancy has been declared, but the context makes the rumors significant. Before Diggs ever took Cardi to that Knicks game, he was already a father to 2 children, Charlie and Nova. Long before the news about the new baby boy appeared in People magazine, he had already solidified his identity as a family guy. Every grand romantic gesture in the spring and summer of 2025, from the medieval French mansion to the strategically timed red carpet reveals, looks less like devotion and more like a typical playbook for a man who knows how to keep multiple narratives spinning at once. If he was actually talking about having another child while Cardi was still in her 3rd trimester.
I don't like talking about my feelings because people when you show weakness, people be like, oh, sympathy. And I feel like at first I thought they was doing it to me, but now I see they do that to every female rapper.
So you feel you can't honestly be vulnerable because...
Yes, I'm afraid to be vulnerable because people want to say, oh, you be looking for sympathy.
Cardi was using her own kind of public narrative management in the meantime. And the psychological trap begins to show the discrepancy between her statements and the recorded actions of the males in her immediate vicinity. She confirmed what the blogosphere had already deduced when she spoke with Gayle King on CBS Mornings on September 17, 2025, saying, "I'm having a baby with my boyfriend Stefon Diggs," and describing how combining a job and pregnancy at the same time made her feel strong and powerful. After years of instability with Offset, she presented the relationship as a steady next phase by describing them as being in a wonderful place, very supportive of one another, and aligned in their employment. The official line was that. However, on December 18, 2024, less than a year prior, Offset had attacked her on X, claiming that she was more interested in private interactions than music, and that she wouldn't sign the divorce documents unless they divided custody. Anonymous accounts were not the source of the messages. In the midst of custody negotiations, this man, whom she had married in 2017 and who was the father of her 3 older children, openly implied that she was putting new relationships and club appearances ahead of her art and her obligations. She replied by instructing him to sign the documents today, claimed that dating while unmarried did not cause her to get fixated on intimacy, and criticized what she perceived as his attempts to prevent her from moving on by messaging men she was connected to. The world witnessed memes, think pieces, and a public argument on toxic celebrity co-parenting. However, if we follow that energy into 2025, it is also the stage for how precarious she would be entering a new, high-profile romance while her legal status remained uncertain. The divorce could be delayed by Offset. Diggs could maintain the dream.
I just took it as a sign. So I wanna start 2024 like fresh.
By November 2025, she had secretly given birth to her fourth child, a boy, according to news reports. There was a clear difference between the underlying dynamics and her own branding. She presented the birth announcement as a new season, discussing the release of a new album and the birth of a new child, as well as having one more motivation to strive to be the best version of herself. The New York Post and People magazine reinforced this framing by highlighting her health and happiness and displaying pictures of her looking stunning on stage and at the court with Diggs from earlier that year. However, by that point, fans had already witnessed the Castle Tour, the puzzling return of the exercise video, the July social media cleanse, and the never-ending turmoil surrounding Offset's divorce. We can see why some insiders today characterize her role as a carefully orchestrated compromise in which everyone around her had more hard power than she did, rather than as a romantic rebirth. Because of this, the central question that hangs over the narrative is not whether Diggs is concerned about his expanding family or whether she loves her new baby. The answers are nearly too simple. The true conflict arises from the question of whether he ever really desired a conventional relationship with her in the first place, or if it was wiser to find a Grammy-winning co-parent at the very start of his Patriots heyday. This isn't simply a complex love triangle between Cardi B and Offset, if insiders are correct, and he was already considering starting a new family while she was still pregnant. It is a chart showing who wins what. We are left staring at a harsher possibility that no one around her is eager to confirm when a superstar becomes a mother once more, while one man controls the legal exit from her previous marriage, another controls the castle keys and the highlight reels, and more rumors about private negotiations and off-camera conversations surface.
It's like, what are we? Okay, I see what you're trying to do. You competing, but y'all just switching girlfriends. It's like, what is this?
What are we
What are
doing?
we doing? So I get it. Do I approve of it? Part of me is like, yeah, because I see what Offset is trying to do. He's like, yo, I gotta fight.
According to insiders, Stefon Diggs was already finalizing plans for another child with a different woman while she was recuperating from childbirth and posting soft, focused captions about new chapters and seasons. The timeline they describe nearly perfectly coincides with her pregnancy. One former acquaintance in his group claims that in the fall of 2025, while Cardi was balancing record release, early tour preparation, and infant care, confidential discussions about growing the family once more were taking place. At about the same time, his online presence began to change in ways that fans noticed. A familiar person from his past quietly reappeared on shared tales and comments. She received fewer likes on her posts, and she interacted more with an older Houston-based buddy group. When we compare that to Cam Newton's July 2025 statement about Diggs and Offset simply switching women similar to kids exchanging test papers, it ceases to feel like an isolated rumor and begins to resemble a pattern he has been following for years.
Internet always causes unnecessary problems, unnecessary disagreements, unnecessary things, because a lot of the stuff on the internet and on the line isn't true. So I would just say they need to have that conversation, a real conversation. I'm not leaving this room until it's done. And those are the toughest conversations. When your wife wants to have a conversation, those are the toughest things because you got to put everything on the table. That's the only way something's going to work. Everything has to go on the table for you to possibly be able to move on. And I'm hoping that they can have that conversation.
After the birth, we can observe the digital breadcrumbs piling up. Diggs turned to individual branding strategies in late October and early November 2025, sharing pictures taken in the locker room, training videos and Patriots gear, and inspirational notes, while mainly ignoring her newborn-focused postings in his own main channel. Simultaneously, a woman who had been associated with him for a long time before Cardi reappeared in close vicinity, liking pictures from common friends, old vacation memories reviving on throwback posts, and sightings at the same settings as players from his former teams. This did not read like a clean X is gone, a new family in break, according to an industry source who has worked with NFL families. It appeared to be more of a rotation. The idea of overlapping time frames becomes less startling and more like what the playbook predicts when they relate that to Newton's criticism that these men are treating partners like interchangeable prizes rather than long-term commitments. When we recall what Cardi was doing in public at the same window, that context strikes us in a new way. She eventually released Am I the Drama on September 19, 2025. Fans had been waiting 7 years for the sophomore album, which she marketed as a declaration of rebirth. The teaser trailer, which discussed shedding feathers and sacrificing grace for damnation, was presented like a phoenix moment, a woman entering a new period of self-control, having outgrown chaos. However, whenever the off-stage narrative is presented alongside those lyrics, as a former tour manager notes, that language feels less like empowerment and more like someone attempting to talk herself out of the situation she is still in. She explained that she had healed and learned during her press appearances. There were rumors in NFL and hip-hop circles that Diggs was already considering a backup plan and emotionally checking out.
I think it's probably 3 factors. I feel like, I don't know, I get a lot of hate. Is it because I respond to it? So people...
Oh, you respond to it.
I respond to it.
You will stop the whole world with a tweet. My team, as soon as Cardi tweets could have been a segment at Hollywood Unlocked, because they'd be like, yo, my team, Keisha right there, she'd be like, Cardi tweeted. What did Cardi do? You will...
There are suddenly individuals near Cardi's camp claiming that her own group witnessed this arrival. A public relations professional with experience next to her brand, it states that months before the baby's arrival, employees silently sounded alerts that Diggs gained more from the partnership than she did. On paper, he had recently obtained a $69 million 3-year agreement, with 26 the Patriots promised, reinventing himself right away as a foundation of a legendary franchise following a shorter stay in Houston due to an injury. In the meantime, she was pregnant, funding a large budget throughout her mid-30s trip and providing full-time care for 4 children while they were still legally bound to a man who made a weapon threat against custody. This insider claims that those in her vicinity, cautioned that he was utilizing the partnership to shine, not safety. However, she persisted because following years of deceit and controversy with Offset, she believed she had finally earned the right to be selected by the general people. As we drill down into the figures, the disparity becomes even more obvious. Diggs' $26 million ensures that before he takes a single snap in Foxborough, the checks are locked. His main risk is physical, as well as his reputation. For Cardi, each tour stage construction, dancer, stylist, rehearsal, and security information for an arena run in 2026 corresponds to upfront expenses of millions of dollars. Those are only profitable if tickets are sold and she can appear in person. In addition to that, she is now organizing 4 distinct timetables for childcare across 2 men. One of them is engaged in a split custody and making a public accusation of giving clubs and private interactions through music a source of amusement. Accountants acquainted with comparable circumstances clearly state that in this dynamic, the NFL player who is assured money is more important than a custody dispute, more tangible stability than the chart rapper flipping plates on top of the public. The Paris Castle is located there. Vacation ceases to appear adorable and begins feeling calculated. In June of 2025, Diggs rented the French medieval mansion with its crocodile-filled moors. A dining room and chandeliers were torn from a historical drama. She also informed fans on Instagram that it was crazy, and he was extremely wealthy for placing her in a genuine castle. When taken at face value, it was a romantic gesture made by a man who spoils his partner as she prepares a big album rollout. However, one source who has collaborated with NFL players' descriptions of image building those lavish excursions as classic diversionary strategies, overwhelming social media. Let your partner experience elegance, cherished, and in the background maintain other alternatives available. When we keep in mind that a few weeks following that fairy story, she cleaned him from her grid, then showed up again in his satisfaction as an exercise partner, the castle begins to appear less romantic and more costly misdirection.
That doesn't solve the issues. It's a fun night, then guess what? The next day we arguing. The next day I'm blocking. Then next thing you know, we ain't talking for 4 days.
The legal nightmare back home remained unresolved behind that polished content. Cardi was unable to completely lock one door before opening another because Offset refused to sign divorce papers without sharing custody of their 3 young children. He accused her of being stuck in a going era in December 2024, and she retaliated that he would not allow her to move on. She messaged every man she had dated and demanded joint parenting time in exchange for his signature. When she started going out with Diggs, the standoff did not miraculously end. It was a silent but persistent strain that followed her until 2025. Even though some aspects of that story are already falling apart, we can understand how a partner who can provide castles, court-sized seats, and a new family narrative appears to be a lifeline in that setting.
And we've been, my bad guys, I'm fucking, I want to cough, but I don't want to, that's kind of gross coughing on my phone.
This put Cardi in a difficult situation, both financially and emotionally. Her ex used the court system as leverage, and she had 4 children who depended on her income and stability. She also had a new partner, whose contract promised him tens of millions of dollars regardless of whether he ever played a hero in her life story. According to insiders, some members of her staff attempted to present it in a negative light. Offset had her freedom papers. Diggs stood in the center, thinking that the album and the baby would reset everything, while she clutched the luxury and a new family image. Rather, it appeared that the pattern from her marriage was being repeated. As she talked about self-love and new eras, there were grand gestures, rumors of overlapping relationships, social media wipes, and well-timed reconciliations. I was terrified when he started yelling, hurling objects, puking, and running about. When Cam Newton entered the discussion, he expressed what many fans were already feeling. He made fun of the way Offset and Diggs seemed to be vying for the same female circles in that July 2025 video, claiming they were passing scantrons and grading each other's papers before concluding that they were simply changing girlfriends. He highlighted the financial parallel and questioned the maturity of those actions. Offset may have money, but is hardly Stefon money, in his words. Additionally, men in these circumstances frequently become fixated on how the new guy compares. This was more than just clumsy criticism coming from a former league MVP. It was a direct read on how these men's treatment of the women in their lives is motivated by their egos and bank balances. Cardi's own lyrics and images were simultaneously narrating a different story. Images of birds, feathers, and metamorphosis played a major role in the rollout of the drama Am I? She indicated that she had gotten past pain and old behaviors by talking about shedding feathers and being beyond rather than just back in one teaser. However, fans started reinterpreting those statements in real time as new information about Diggs' purported offstage behavior came to light. Was she speaking of a woman who had emerged from chaos? Or someone who, with a different face, discovered too late that she had flown directly into the same storm? Certain lyrics about betrayal and learning that someone simply wanted the spotlight next to her now sound disturbingly close to what insiders claim about Diggs' goals, according to a music journalist who covered the album. Then there is the emotional fallout that is rarely captured on camera. According to sources, Cardi quickly oscillated between intense public confidence and personal annoyance upon the baby's delivery, as conflicting accounts of her parenthood and romantic life erupted online. She was going to the gym, getting ready for the Little Miss Drama Tour and openly declaring that she felt powerful. However, she also observed that Offset appeared at clubs with women associated with Diggs' history, while headlines portrayed Diggs as the winner of the off-season. According to an insider, she admitted that she felt like everyone around her was playing a game in which she was the scoreboard rather than the player, but that she could not afford to appear injured in front of sponsors, labels, and fans. The harsh conclusion that many onlookers are now whispering is the result of all of this. What's left is a recognizable framework when the castles, courtside kisses, record aesthetics, and well-crafted interviews are removed. Attached to a partner whose devotion is called into doubt, Cardi B is juggling charges of overlapping romances and attempting to maintain her public persona while her private relationships change. There were years of rumors, reconciliations, and an unresolved divorce with Offset. Resurfaced ex-partners, rumors of another baby plan, and remarks from other athletes all implied that Diggs' relationship was always more about status than soul. The truth is that nobody in her immediate vicinity wants to give Mike a clear explanation. Cardi B wasn't content with Stefon Diggs. Instead of studio sessions and unexpected roses, she seems to have opted for the same dynamic she experienced with Offset, except dressed up in NFL jerseys and castle excursions. Chaos, dubious allegiance, and a man who, if these insiders are correct, enjoys her prominence while treating her as optional. This time, the only real twist is that for as long as the cameras are rolling, she might decide to act like it's still a love tale. Unless, of course, this has been her approach from the beginning, and the setting is just what appears to be heartbreak. What if Cardi doesn't give up and instead returns with revenge bars, receipts, and a new chapter that makes everyone accountable for what they did when they assumed she would remain silent? Please share your thoughts with us, since the next chapter may begin in the comments if this story is only halfway finished. We'll be right here with you, watching it develop until we see what she does next.